and welcome to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. I'm Juliet the daughter.
And as always, I'm Kevin the dad. And Juliet, who did you pick for us this week?
This week...
To celebrate Passover.
Happy Pesach, everybody. Well, today I picked someone who I always grew up hearing as a kid in the Toy Story movies, and then later I heard some of his more adult content. So today we're talking about Randy Newman and his album Sail Away. So Dad, what do we need to know?
Well, we need to know that Randy Newman was born November 28th, 1943 in Los Angeles, California. He lived in New Orleans as a small child and spent summers there when his family moved back to LA. His father is not a film composer, he's an internist. But
he's a what?
Internist.
What's that?
It's a medical thing.
Oh, okay.
But his uncles Alfred, Lionel, and Emil Newman were. So are his cousins Thomas, Maria, Joey, and David, who we saw conduct at one of Tanglewood's John Williams movie nights.
He did their film night, talked about how the 20th Century Fox theme was written for somebody else, but they rejected it. And he also did the Moon River story with Audrey Hepburn, how they wanted to cut from the movie and she went over my dead body.
Yep.
He was a good conductor.
Now, along with Randy, this group comprises the most nominated Academy Award extended family with 92 collective nominations in various music categories. That's how many Newmans there are out there. So it's like, hey, cuz, what'd you do today? Oh, I got nominated for an Oscar. You? Same thing. Anyway, Randy studied music at UCLA,
Nice.
but dropped out one semester shy of a BA. Oh, if that had been my kid.
I'd never dare do that.
Oh, thank you. Well, you're graduating in about, 2 months?
Yeah, if we can,
So, good for you.
if we can get everything sorted out. But that's another story.
He started writing songs at 17. His greatest influence is Ray Charles, of whom he said, I love Charles's music to excess.
Are you going to do that voice every
Yes,
time?
I'm going to do a bad Ray Newman imitation.
Be prepared, everyone.
Sorry. No, I'm not sorry. In the 60s, his songs were recorded by Gene Pitney, Jerry Butler, Petula Clark, Dusty Springfield, Jackie DeShannon, the OJs, and Irma Thomas, among others. Now, as a songwriter, he had a lot of chart success in the UK, including Alan Price, the original keyboard player for the Animals. Check out our Animals podcast. Price cut an album in 1967 that featured 7 Randy Newman songs.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, back in the States, Randy began a long professional association with childhood friend Lenny Waronker, who would eventually be head of Warner Brothers Records.
Oh, wow.
Which helped Randy because he was on that label from 1968 to 1995, even though he wasn't moving a lot of product. It's always who you know.
It's who you know, yeah.
Yep. Now, when Waronker moved to DreamWorks Records to be co-chairman, Randy went along with him.
DreamWorks?
DreamWorks.
As in the Steven Spielberg Animation Studio or something totally different?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, they have their own music label.
Okay.
Of Lenny, Randy said, whatever success I had as a songwriter, I guess I have to trace back to my friendship with Lenny Waronker. His father played in the orchestra at Fox. My uncle was there, so I know Lenny since I was 1. He's 2 years older than me. I remember when I was 4 or 5, he would tell me stories. I would be the audience. He would say, let's ride on his tricycle. He'd get on the back, and I would pull him, and we'd fall off.
Damn, that Family Guy parody wasn't exaggerating, was it?
I would get hurt, and he wouldn't. I still have scars from that tricycle. He'd say, we can do this, we can do that. And I would be the one who ended up getting smashed. And it was that way with songwriting. I was studying classical music, and Lenny said, why don't you try writing some songs? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I hope you don't hurt your voice. That's the only thing.
In 1968, he put out his first album, Randy Newman. It got raves, but did not even make the Billboard Top 200 album chart.
Ouch.
Still, more people were recording his songs. In 1969, he started doing orchestral arrangements, including Is That All There Is for Peggy Lee?
Oh, yeah.
Check out our Peggy Lee podcast.
Yep, please do.
In 1970, Harry Nilsson recorded an entire album of Newman songs called Nilsson Sings Newman.
Really?
Yeah, once again, it got raves, but did not sell well.
Oh.
Which has been pretty much Randy's luck for most of his career. The critics love him, but the general public is just, who are you again? Huh?
Guess someone has to be the black sheep of the family,
I
in a
guess.
way.
His album, 12 Songs, came out that year. Now, Three Dog Night got a big hit from their cover of Mama Told Me Not to Come.
That's his song?
Yep, that's his song. He wrote that song, and that's probably my favorite Three Dog Night cover. Randy Newman Live came came out later in the year, and it made the album chart, scraping in at 191.
Oh, well, at least he's in top 200 now. That's gross.
Yeah, he broke the barrier. In 1971, he wrote and performed the theme song for Norman Lear's movie Cold Turkey. He Gives Us All His Love, which wound up on Sail Away. That album came out in 1972 and went all the way to number 163.
Okay, growth, slow, but getting there.
Now, believe it or not, Ray Charles and Linda Ronstadt both covered the title song.
Really?
Yep.
That sounds interesting.
Now, in 1974, he released Good Old Boys, a set of songs about the American South. It made it up to number 36.
Okay, that's just, yep.
Now,
find the charts.
In 1977, his album Little Criminals came out, and it went to number 9.
All right, getting up there.
Due to what was at the time called the novelty hit, Short People, which went to number 2 on the Billboard singles chart and stayed in that spot for 3 weeks.
There you go, Randy.
The songs that kept it from number 1 were
The Beatles?
You Light Up My Life by Debbie Boone.
Oh, right, we're in the 70s, pardon
77, not 67.
77.
And the Bee Gees' How Deep Is Your Love.
Okay, that sounds good, though.
It was his only top 40 hit, even though songs like I Love L.A. and My Life Is Good have gotten some airplay when they were released.
What about his Disney stuff? Are we going to get to that?
I'm going to get to that, don't worry.
Okay.
Now, Randy's been putting out albums ever since, whenever he's in the mood. Now, one unusual project was a musical version of the Faust legend called, wait for it,
Randy Newman's Faust.
very good.
Yep.
Now, the musical came out in 1995 and did meh. And then they tried retooling it again with different characters and a different script. But the problem was they could never get a storyline that was equal to his songs.
Well, also, I remember your favorite guy on the internet, Brent Black, who did the deconstruction of the lyrics in The Night Before Christmas. He's like, I don't know which version of the album he listened to specifically. I don't know if it was the concept album or the cast recording, but he says, when the album first opens, you have like all this like scary gothic music that sounds like it came straight out of Christopher Marlowe's original play. And he goes, so you listen to it and think, oh wow, there's gonna be something different. And then Randy Newman comes on with like, yeah, keep a good man down or whatever. And it's like, it's just another Randy Newman CD. But they did do a concert version of it recently where Randy Newman did play Satan.
Yeah, it was. They did in 2014. They did like a one night only thing.
Yeah, I think
where
that
they just basically did all the songs.
Yeah, I think that might have been for encores, but I don't remember what it was for.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Encores, yep.
Now the album came out in 1996, and it wasn't like a cast album.
It was a concept album, right?
Yeah,
because James Taylor's on it and something.
It was and it has to be his perverse sense of humor. He cast James Taylor to sing the part of the Lord. I mean, talk about heaven being hell. And Randy Newman was Mephistophelies, of course.
Yeah, he always plays Mephistophelies. When they did the encores version, it was kind of cute because he sat down at the piano and he put on like one of those devil horns that you find at like Party City.
Oh yeah.
Put it on his head. I was like, well, I mean, we already knew, but you have fun. You have fun.
Yeah. Now, as for Randy Newman, the TV and film composer, he created background music for TV shows such as The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis, Lost in Space, Peyton Place.
Oh, I heard that one.
And the thing about Peyton Place was an album was actually released of Peyton Place music and credited to Randy Newman, but he does not consider that an official part of his catalog because he was never asked for any input or even permission. But I guess the network probably owns the rights to the music.
What was Peyton Place about again?
That was a soap opera.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And also the TV show Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Now, his first movie as a composer was the aforementioned Cold Turkey in 1971. In 1981, he did the music for the film version of Ragtime, which earned him 2 Oscar noms.
It's funny that you bring up Ragtime because we're going to talk a little bit about it in this course of this episode. Not the movie, though, the musical version.
Okay. Now, in 1986, he co-wrote the movie Three Amigos along with Steve Martin and Lorne Michaels.
Really?
Really.
Huh.
He also wrote 3 songs for the movie and provided the voice for the singing bush. Then it was off to Disney Pixar.
Yeah, well, I think it was just Pixar back then. No, had Disney bought it at that point?
I don't know.
Because we saw the documentary. It's been a while since I watched the documentary, but anyway, Disney Pixar.
Okay, now he did 10 movie scores. 4 Toy Stories, 3 Cars, 2 Monsters, Inc., and A Bug's Life, which I've always felt was an underrated Pixar movie.
Okay, I can see that.
He also scored tons of other movies, including Parenthood, Avalon, James and the Giant Peach, Seabiscuit, Awakenings, The Paper, Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, Pleasantville, and others. Now, he was the Susan Lucci of the Oscars, being nominated 15 times before he finally won. Susan Lucci played the role of Erica Kane on All My Children, ABC soap opera.
The soap opera.
And she was nominated for Best Actress 15 times. And
Oh, no.
she won on the 15th time.
Well, at least she won one.
Now, when Randy won, it was for some crappy song from Monsters, Inc., If I Didn't Have You.
I wouldn't be nothing if I didn't have you. Yeah, John Goodman and Billy Crystal singing in the end credits. It's not that bad. It's cute.
But this was the least crappy of a crappy crop of crappy songs nominated that year.
What was nominated that year?
You would have to look it up. I think one of them was a Paul McCartney song.
Hold on, we got the internet right here.
There might have been a Sting song. He won in 2002.
2002? All right, bear with me, folks. I'm going to Google.
I'm going to continue while you're Googling.
Best Oscar, Best Song nominees. Best Song nominees. Okay, so If I Didn't Have You, May It Be by Enya and Nikki Ryan. There You'll Be by Diane Warren. Oh, that was the year that Until by Sting was nominated. That was from Kate and Leopold. That's a nice romance song. And Vanilla Sky by Paul McCartney.
Yep. So when he won, he got a standing ovation from the audience, and he said, "I don't want your pity."
Oh.
Because he knew it was a bullshit win.
Oh.
And he was right. Because he should have won for You Got a Friend in Me, or When She Loved Me. I mean, those are more memorable.
Oh, that was for Toy Story 2.
For the Jessie song.
The one that makes everyone cry.
Yes.
Oh, God. You know, the reason I forget that he won that song, that he wrote that song, pardon me, is because he doesn't sing it. It's a woman singing that
That's Sarah
track.
McLachlan, yeah.
Oh, that's the one that makes everyone in my generation cry as soon as they put it on the radio. Yeah.
So his win was bullshit.
Yeah. It's funny, though, because if you were to ask members of my generation, well, maybe not so much Phil Collins anymore, but like years ago, if you said Randy Newman and Phil Collins, people wouldn't know. But if you say You've Got a Friend in Me and When She Loved Me, or for Phil Collins, if you say You'll Be in My Heart from Tarzan, they instantly know who it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, Phil Collins is getting more popular now because they're making popular TikToks where Disney's hiring him and they're like, "Okay, Phil, we want you to do music for Tarzan, but you don't have to go that hard for it. You don't have to." And then they listen to this music and they're like, "Oh my God, this is great." And then they bring him back for Brother Bear. "Okay, Phil, we love how you went hard for Tarzan, but you don't have to do that again. It's just an animated movie. You don't have to do it." And then they listen to it like, "Oh my God, guys, he's doing it again. He's doing it again." And maybe that was the same for Randy. "Okay, Randy, this is just a kid's movie. You don't have to write anything good." Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, all in all, he's been nominated 22 times, but only 2 wins. As he says, he has a lousy winning percentage.
His second one was for Toy Story 3, I believe, because I remember seeing his Academy Awards speech that year where he said to his daughter or granddaughter, that guinea pig of yours better give me more respect. He was kind of grumpy.
Now, other awards include 3 Emmys, 1 for the short-lived Cop Rock, and 2 for Monk.
Cop Rock! That was on a John Oliver episode recently.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
He's also won 7 Grammys, a 2002 Songwriters Hall of Fame induction, a 2007 Disney Legends Award.
Oh, that's impressive when you get one of those.
I guess it is.
It is. It's a very high accolade.
And was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013. Now, in 2020, Newman wrote a song called Stay Away to support people during the coronavirus pandemic.
I haven't heard that.
The song can be downloaded, and proceeds go to the Ellis Marsalis Center to support underserved children in New Orleans' 9th District.
Oh, that's nice.
Now, as for me, I remember when Short People came out, and being 14 years old at the time, totally missed the point of it being about prejudice.
You just thought it was about literal short people?
Yeah. Now, a lot of other people missed the point too, and it didn't help that Randy is 6'2".
That is a situational irony.
Yeah. Now, years later, I read Greil Marcus's book Mystery Train, which contains a lengthy essay about Randy Newman, and this led me to pick up Sail Away, first on vinyl, then on CD. Now, Rhino put out a remaster in 2002 with 5 extra tracks, and I still have the original CD pressing, but maybe I'll get that 2002 upgrade someday. Supposedly the sound quality is improved, but the one I have, I don't have any problems with it at all.
No, it sounds fine.
As a matter of fact, I remember way back in the day that the original pressing of Sail Away
was picked as one of the best sounding compact discs at that time.
Wow, okay.
So this is like the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s.
I mean, I listened to the remastered one on YouTube, and it doesn't sound any different from the one that you play in your car.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit, I don't know, clearer or something, but I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, Sail Away came out on May 23rd, 1972, co-produced by Lenny Waronker. I probably mispronounced his name this whole time.
It's all right.
And Russ Titleman. It features some crack musicians, including Ry Cooder on slide guitar and drummers Earl Palmer and Jim Keltner,
Hey!
who played with the Traveling Wilburys. And again, check out our Wilburys podcast.
Yep, and he did the Dark Horse tour with George, the one where he was losing his voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he also played a lot with Ringo.
And I think he might have done. Did he do a concert for George? I didn't see him there.
I don't believe he did. I'm not 100% sure. He might have. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I didn't see him. I saw some other guy, though. It might have been Roy Cooper.
Now, Randy's uncle, Emil Newman, conducted the orchestra on Sail Away and Burn On.
Nice.
Now, this album is only 30 minutes and 7 seconds long.
Really?
But it seems longer, and I don't mean
does.
that as an insult because there's like so much going on, and it's like so deep, and it makes you think a lot. You can't believe it goes by that fast. So let's dive into this, shall we?
Yes, all right. With first, the title track, Sail Away. So I wrote in my notes, it's funny that I'm listening to this song right now because the past 3 days I've been watching the online series Stars in the House with Playbill.com columnist and SiriusXM radio host Seth Rudetsky and Seth Rudetsky's husband, actor James Wesley. Their past 3 episodes have been devoted to immigration in collaboration with NILC, National Immigration Law Center, with their episodes about AAPI, Asian and Pacific Islanders on Broadway, their Fiddler on the Roof episode with the Broadway, London, and Yiddish productions,
Wait.
the first Yiddish production in the United States, and their Ragtime Broadway reunion episodes. And listening to this song, this feels like Randy's version of all the stories immigrants hear about America before they arrive here, whether they choose to make the trip or had to flee their home. And the sad thing is that their experience isn't the case. I mean, hell, I learned in the Fiddler on the Roof episode, the guy who played Tevye, his family immigrated from Russia, I think because of the pogroms, to America, because I don't know what time they came over here. And he said that some immigrants on the way to America, they stopped in the port city of Hull in England on their way, and they were lied to when they arrived, saying that they were already in America.
Wow.
And they stayed in England because, they didn't know. I guess I didn't expect to hear a patriotic song from Randy, because when I think of him, I kind of think of this bitterness a la Bob Dylan that comes from being weary of the world and all the different ways it can screw you over. Plus also their voices have that kind of going on. This is even more surprising for me because this song was released in 1972 and the Vietnam War was going to last for another 3 years. And during that war, there were definitely a lot of Americans who didn't feel so patriotic since from their perspective, we were sending people to die for a war that wasn't ours to fight, but, jingoism. And living in America post the former guy, America doesn't feel like the place Randy is singing about. Don't get me wrong, I want that America to exist one day, but it feels like we're sure as hell very, very far away from getting to that point. Although hopefully when we do get to that point, we could sing more about more than just Jesus and eat more than buckwheat cake and watermelon.
Wow.
What?
Wow. You came at this from a totally different angle than what this song is about.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Did I get it wrong?
Wow, I'm impressed that that's what you got out of this song.
Okay. Why? What's it about?
Because this song is really the ultimate con job. A ship's captain with a voice as thick and sweet as molasses sells the paradise that is America.
Okay, like the people in Hulk, kind of.
And he's backed up by a seductive orchestral arrangement.
Okay,
and at the
that's
end,
true.
there's just the orchestra telling you that everyone got on board and are looking forward to this new Eden. It's still eyebrow-raising and horrific after almost 50 years.
Yep.
Now, amazingly, Ray Charles covered this song. And Linda Ronstadt did too, but she covers everybody. Now,
Yeah,
her
that's true,
version is on YouTube, and it's really bad.
Oh, it's really bad?
It's a really bad version.
Oh, Linda.
And now, you know that line about when he sings, "Come aboard, little wog, sail away with me."
Yeah.
Wog is a derogatory British slang for a person who is not white.
Oh.
Now, I'm sure this never happened in reality because it wasn't like, hey, have I got a deal for you? It was probably more as Edward Rutledge sings in 1776, cram them in the ships.
Stuff them
in the ships.
Yep.
You know, in America, you just sing about Jesus all day and you've got your watermelon and your buckwheat cake. And it's a slave ship captain.
I remember when I read The Colored Museum by George C. Wolfe, and if that name sounds familiar, he was the one who directed the Netflix film adaptation of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom by August Wilson. And he opens the play with this satire where it's Africans on the slave ships. And what he decided to do with it was, I think that this is the type of comedy that can only come from a person of color, because if it came from a white person, it would not fly at all. But he did it where he did a send-up of airline stewardesses saying, hello, welcome aboard the ship. Here's where we're going to go today. Please.
Welcome aboard the Amistad.
Yeah. And he the way he does it is amazingly written. And if you can get a copy of The Colored Museum by George C. Wolfe, I would strongly recommend that you read it, because what he does with satire in that play was groundbreaking when he wrote it. And if you're coming at it for the first time, you're going to be like, holy shit. So definitely read that play if you get the chance. It's a great read.
Mm-hmm. Now, the thing about this song, like I said, is you know, it never happened this way in real life.
Oh, hell no.
You wanna come here.
No.
Now, the thing is...
Ellis Island was a shit show.
No. This is like...
This, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but like, just in general.
No, I mean, like, I mean, it wasn't like, hey, all you Africans.
No.
We're going to take you to America. This is going to be great. You're going to love it. You're just going to have the best time. And I think maybe that's the other point of this song, that in America, we can sell anything to anyone, no matter how shitty or moral or offensive it is.
Yeah. Well,
it's like, would we lie to you? Come on. This is going to be you're going to have a great time. Come on. Yeah.
I remember there's a scene in Ragtime where Father's going on a ship to sell, I think it's fireworks. And he goes on the ship, and the first mate is a black man, so he reaches out to shake Father's hand, but Father doesn't take it. And as they're sailing out from New York, there's a ship of immigrants that's coming to the United States, and they called it a rag ship because all the people on that boat were poor. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's the ship bringing people to the Americas. And the black first mate just looks at the captain and goes, yeah, my people were brought on ships too. And then there's an awkward silence, and then they sing the song.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, reading back at that, I was like, okay, the buckwheat and watermelon makes a lot more sense now. I remember because I was reading Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie.
And, I read that.
Yeah, it's a great book. And you know the scene where it was like she first comes to college and all the white Americans are like, hey, you like watermelon? And she's like, what do you mean? Everyone likes watermelon. Because she didn't know the stereotypes back then. Yeah, that's a great book too. If you haven't read it, it's an awesome book. All right, next, Lonely at the Top. Mm-hmm. Having read Sinatra's biography, yeah, this is accurate. So for those who haven't read it, it was by Francis J. Traborelli. That's the biography that I read. I got it at Books A Million. Sinatra had been around the world, and at one point had a bit of a mishap in Australia. There's a movie about it.
And he also talks about it on that live album that I have.
Yep. He had his pick of any girl to the point where if one of his friends from the neighborhood went out with a girl Frank used to date, and Frank would beat them up, and everyone knew his name, he had all this money, he had musicians who'd probably kill to play for him, and the dude was miserable. That biography was just depressing. His children and ex-wives were the only ones more miserable than he was. As for me,
not Nancy. Not poor Nancy.
Nancy was pretty miserable.
Oh, poor Nancy. I love Nancy.
I know you do, but yeah, she said, that was just part of being a Sinatra.
Oh.
Yeah.
She didn't sign up for it. She was born into it.
Unfortunately. All right. As to the music, the most catchy part isn't the chorus, it's the played by, I think, a clarinet, but don't quote me on that. And it's the perfect orchestration and the perfect key because it can be described in one word: seediness. You can see a jaded Sinatra singing this at some sort of crappy, dirty dive with all the venom and spite he can muster. And I kind of wish we had that bitter version of this song, because in his later career, the man just phoned it in. I remember I tried to listen to one of his later duet albums that he did, because I think he did a track with Barbra Streisand. Oh, no, she was singing with Tony Bennett. She sang Smile with Tony Bennett. But he did this track with somebody famous that I wanted to listen to. And from the first note, I could tell his heart just wasn't in it, and it was sad. You could tell when someone is invested in a performance and when someone's all, oh, for God's sake, all right, fine, let's just get this over with. So if this song was the kick in the pants that got him to invest some real emotion into his later works, I would have loved it. But alas, we can only think of what might have been. And I don't know what insight Randy had into Sinatra's personal life to make the song so autobiographical, but the dude nailed it.
Oh, yeah. He did write this specifically for Frank, who would not touch it. Because,
Too real.
Too close to home.
Too real.
And I mean, it's like the singer just doesn't care. Not about the audience, the women he's had, nothing. If anything, he's just full of contempt, even for the crazy game.
Listen, all you fools out there, go on and love me, I don't care.
He just doesn't.
No.
And I think the only person alive who could cover this,
Like,
and
alive right
mean it-
now? Or back then?
alive right now,
Okay.
I think the only person who could cover this would be Mick Jagger. But even then, at this stage of his career, it might be too late because I think he's probably just reconciled himself to it all.
Yeah.
And
Plus, he still does stuff with the Stones periodically, like the Ghost Town song for the pandemic. That was pretty good.
And I like what I think it's like a vaudevillian arrangement.
Yes, that's what I heard.
And it's like, it makes me think that the singer is on some theater stage singing this to his favorite audience, empty seats.
Because they can't talk back.
He just has the place to himself, and he doesn't give a shit.
And then there's a sad bartender in the background, probably named Mike or Joe, just like cleaning the bar with a filthy rag.
He's like, I'm getting paid.
Peanut shells on the floor. Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, what could have been? What could have been? Ugh.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, next track. He gives us all his love. Once again, I'm taken by surprise because I never would have pegged Randy for a believer. But it's if he is or not, I don't know.
He's an atheist.
Okay, but it's a simple song about God's love. Any songs that are written about Jesus, God, Yahweh, whomever are very risky. Like, remember when murderer Phil Spector said that he wanted My Sweet Lord to be the single, and people were like, no, the religious parts won't sell. He goes, it doesn't matter, it's the most commercial song on it. Now he's in prison. No, now he's dead. I forget he's dead.
But he was right, though.
Yeah, he was right. That's it. No, because these songs about God can either come off as corny or goody two-shoes. Either that or you automatically get lumped in with music that plays on Christian radio, which is mostly soft Christian rock. But I think Randy's song brings up a good point. There's so much pain, and if you believe in God, then you know that all they can do is love you. They can't intervene because of the greatest blessing and curse they could have given us, free will. And I am also surprised that this God Randy writes about seems to be gentle, but maybe that was the version of God people needed at the time instead of the strict, almost hateful being people grew up with. Like the God in the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston who could probably squish you like a bug and that'd be it. But it's a sincere song of faith, and in my opinion, it's pretty underrated in terms of songs of faith that have, become commercial.
Well, this song has been covered a lot.
Oh, I'm sure.
And the thing is, a lot of the singers take the words at face value, but there's something else going on here.
Yeah, what is it?
Well, like I said, Randy's an atheist.
Yeah.
And in this song, he's questioning God's motives oh so subtly. Like,
He knows how hard we're trying. He hears the babies crying. He sees the old folks dying. And he gives us all his love.
and his thing is like, should he be giving something more? You've got these
Yeah.
crying babies and people dying, and we're just doing the best we can. Like something to, if not make the misery stop, at least ease it somehow. And like, the more I listened to the song, I was wondering, well, what exactly does he gives us all his love mean anyway? Like, how does that manifest itself? Like, I'm thinking like in reality on this plane. I mean, what good does it do? Is it something people just tell themselves to get through the crappy moments in their lives? It kind of reminds me of Congress people coming out with the old thoughts and prayers line every time some outrage is committed. You know, paying lip service without really doing anything until the next outrage occurs, and
Yeah.
the line gets bandied about once more like a badminton shuttlecock.
Yeah, that's where we are at this point.
Yeah, and it's going to happen again and again, and it's just...
Alexis de Tocqueville was right. In a democracy, because they think it's so perfect, like we're the perfect form of government, they only want to make changes on the surface, secondary level changes. They don't want to do the actual work of uprooting the system and fixing the root cause of all the problems in our society, because it's like, it's democracy, it's perfect, what do we need to change? Well, when it doesn't work, you gotta fix something.
But, you know, it just really got me thinking, like, how does God give us his love?
I don't know, Dad. I don't have the answers. I'm only 21.
Neither do I, but maybe we need to do a philosophy podcast. No,
No.
there's too many of those out there.
That was what you and John were supposed to do, but we know where that went. Sorry, John. All right, next track. Last night I had a dream. My first note, maybe I shouldn't listen to this song before I go to bed. I'm sure we've all had dreams like this, and they're terrifying. Someone we love is in our dream, and they don't know us. I mean, one time I had a dream that my grandmother came back to life, but she hated me, and I was so devastated when I woke up because it felt way too real. Yeah, she was pissed at me, and I don't know what I did. As for the song itself, though, apart from the relatable subject matter, the music isn't that appealing to me. I don't know if it's supposed to convey the otherworldliness and strangeness of dreams, but it doesn't really progress or go anywhere. So great subject matter, but it falls short in its execution.
Oh, I don't know. This is my favorite song on Sail Away. Ry Cooder provides outright scary, nasty slide guitar. He gets the last 45 seconds of the song to himself to sow seeds of doubt, turning Randy's dream garden into a nightmare garden. Oh, yeah. Now, as for the content, yeah, Randy had a dream last night. No, really, he did.
You were in it, and I was in it with you.
And everyone they know is there. He sees a vampire, a ghost, but she scares him the most. And it builds up to that moment when she asks him,
Honey, can you tell me what your name is?
and he replies,
You know what my name is.
But she doesn't say it.
Do-do-do, do-do-do.
Oh, that's what you say all the time.
Yeah, and that's the fright. Like someone you've known for a long time all of a sudden does not or chooses not to know
remember you.
not to know who you are. Which, I mean, you wake up from something like that and it's kind of like you're looking at the person like, who are you really? What are you going to do to me? Are you going to deny me?
For me, the worst dreams I have now, I had one of these last night, was that I was back in high school. Those dreams always suck. Because it's like, no, I outgrew it.
I had one where it was a combination of junior high and Whole Foods.
Oh, no, that sucks.
And like I was in some basketball game because it was gym class and I know I couldn't shoot and they kept giving me the ball. I'm like, okay, I'm going to throw this underhand. No, you don't throw underhand in basketball. You don't. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to line up my shot and it's not going to go in. And they never went in.
Sorry, Dad.
That's okay.
All right, next. Simon Smith and his Dancing Bear. The first time I ever heard this song was on The Muppet Show. Originally, Scooter wanted to do Simon Smith and his Dancing Dog, and Kermit's reaction was, "It is as the frog says, sappy!" Then Scooter says, "Gee, my uncle thought it was," and Kermit immediately cuts him off going, "Yeah, it is as the frog says, wonderful!" Because on
Who's
the show,
Scooter's uncle?
Scooter's uncle owned the theater the Muppets performed in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how he got on. However, something happens to the dog, so Scooter has to go on with Fozzie, so it becomes Simon Smith and his Dancing Bear, and the two of them perform as a duet. I love this song because it gives me such vaudeville vibes, not just from the honky-tonk piano and the act of a boy and a singing Dancing Bear, but you could see them hoofing it because of the story of the song. Not much money, eating where they work, but having fun all the way. It has the same joy as an actor's life for me from Pinocchio, but with a slightly more realistic version of the showbiz life than that song had. That being said, there's still a bit of romanticism, but it's from the perspective of a boy, so of course there's an essence to it. I love this song because it's a bit of lighthearted fun while also being sincere.
Now, I swear, I first heard and saw this on Captain Kangaroo as a kid because
Really?
one of the characters on the show was named Dancing Bear.
Oh!
And Dancing Bear would dance. And so I tried finding it online.
Nothing.
I did a general Google search. I did YouTube. I could not find it anywhere, but I swear remembering this as a kid. It was with Mr. Green Jeans dressed up as some vaudeville guy singing this song through a megaphone and Dancing Bear doing his Dancing Bear thing. Now, yeah, Simon wants an in with the rich folks. His Dancing Bear may be his entree into that world, but the guy doesn't even have a coat to his name. And how the heck is he able to keep a bear, dancing or otherwise? I mean, the whole song is speculation, starting with the first line. I may go out tomorrow if I can borrow a coat to wear. If I can borrow a coat to wear. If I can't, nothing's probably going to happen. So on one level, you could take this as a straight kids song, nothing more. But to me, there's like this undercurrent of like how the other half lives or going on here, or one of those Horatio Alger Ragged Dick stories, like, you know, poor boy makes good, gets into the respectable class in the Gilded Age.
But how long are they going to keep him around? Like, they probably just consider
until they
him
get
like just
tired of him and throw him back out in the street.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, hey, after depressing our listeners, this song does have a sprightly arrangement. It does. It's just Randy and his piano. It's a fun song.
Yeah.
But not for me anymore because I thought about it too much.
Well, this next song isn't going to lighten the mood either.
It definitely is not.
Old Man. Yeah, this song still affects me just as much as when I first heard it as a kid, because it's just so sad, because it preys on people's worst fears. The fear of death, the fear of dying alone, and the fear of there being nothing when you die. And Randy plays the character of the one person who's there for you when everyone else has either left you because they're dead too, or because you're old and therefore not wanted. I interpret the old man as either being an old man Randy befriended, which adds to the tragedy of his loneliness, or Randy's dad, which makes more sense with the line, "Won't be no God to comfort you, you taught me not to believe that lie." Because that feels like a teaching someone would pass on to their kids. And it's quite a 180 from he gives us all his love, not to mention Simon Smith and his dancing bear. Or maybe not. And then the ending of this song is so abrupt that it is unsettling, because death can be drawn out, but when it comes for you, those final moments are quick and suddenly you're gone. And that's it. So thanks for making us all confront our mortality, Randy. There's a downer on here for Sinatra, and there's a downer on here for the rest of us chumps. It's like in the IT crowd when they go to Renham Denham's funeral and the priest goes, "Death! Death is coming! Death is here!"
Yes.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, if you play this while I'm on my deathbed,
no!
I will come back and haunt you to the end of your days.
Why the hell would I do that?
I don't know.
No one better play this when I die either.
Pissed you off.
Mm-hmm.
Because listen, it starts off with everyone has gone away. No one cared enough to stay. It's like, is he dead yet? Is he dead yet? Because, we've got other things to do. And if he's not going to die now, I can't hang around and wait.
They're like the relatives from Secondhand Lions who are just waiting for Hub and Garth to die so they can get the money.
Yeah. And the singer, who I'm assuming is the old man's son, apparently has come to tell him, if you could just hurry up and die, that'd be great.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Because I've got other things to do too. Plus, that killer line about, "Won't be no God to comfort you. You taught me not to believe that lie." Like, holy shit. Like, that's probably the last thing you want to hear.
Before you slip away.
Yep. Nothing for you. Oh, no afterlife for you.
No.
Yep. And, you got the line, "You don't need nobody. Nobody needs you." Now, either the son has daddy issues or the old man was really a bastard to everyone else while he was alive.
If he was a bastard, then maybe that's a different story.
And those last two words...
Everybody dies.
And that's it, and the song ends. But
he's dead.
It got me thinking, everybody dies. It's like, this happens every day. But when it does to someone we know, we're still surprised, shocked, and saddened. But it's such a part of life. But it still hits you like, I can't believe this person's gone. And the thing is, like, it still surprises and shocks us because we're human. And, like, the funerals I've gone to, I've always thought this every single time I've gone. It's like, I've dropped out of my regular life flow to be here.
Yeah.
Like, the everyday stuff.
Doesn't matter.
Just regular life is put on hold. Right. So, and I'm thinking, so have all the other attendees. We've all done this. And meanwhile, outside the rest of the world has not stopped to acknowledge this person's passing. It's just going on like clockwork as ever, as the world should. Like, it just goes on because there is going to be that group of people who knew the person, so they are getting some sort of acknowledgement.
Yeah.
But it just, it's like an everyday thing, but that just always hits me like I've been just plucked out of the stream and put into a different flow.
Thanks, Ernie and Andy.
Yes, for showing up at my dad's wake.
Hey, if anyone else from Whole Foods is listening to this, and you and no, I'm kidding. We're not going to go there. We're not going to do that. That's Dad's business here, not mine. But it reminded me a bit of the Freaks and Geeks episode where Lindsay's telling her brother about, the reason why she's so different now, because she was there when her grandmother died. And she said, "Grandma, what do you see?" And her grandmother went, "Nothing," and then died. And it just affected Lindsay really, really hard. And so that's why she stopped being like the goody two-shoes who was in math debate, and why she went out to hang out with the Freaks and Geeks, because it just shook her to her core. Yeah. But yeah, I do get what you mean. It does feel like, how can other people keep going? You know what I mean? It's just...
It's the circle
of life.
No, but on the other hand, it's like, how can everyone else keep going when I can barely, function right now?
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
like,
Yeah.
how dare you not acknowledge this? But you do have the other people there around you who are going through the same thing.
So I feel
So I
less
guess
alone,
there's
yeah.
that sort of support.
But the weird thing is, it's like, when the person dies, it's like, I don't know how I move past it. Well, not move past it, because eventually the grief lessens and lessens over time. We're able to get back to
Well-
quote-unquote normal. But it's like, how did I go from crying my eyes out to being able to get up the next day and make myself breakfast and go to class and get back to normal? You know what I mean? It's like that transition, it just always boggles my mind. I still have no idea how we're able to do it.
Because I guess you have to move forward. You have to carry on. You can't let it paralyze you.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody.
Oh, God.
Side 2.
Right. Next song, Political Science. My favorite song with the title of my major in it ever. With my major in the title ever.
Now, would you share this with your political science cronies?
I shared it with Aaron, and I haven't heard back from him yet.
He probably passed out on the floor.
No, probably because he's busy, but we'll get to that later. Okay, when Dad told me what this song was about when I was a kid, I couldn't get over it. You can write a song about nuking everyone? That's kind of cool! Because it was like all that, and it was just like, it was always love songs that I heard. I was like, wow, you can write a song about anything. Randy says no one likes us, so let's get rid of them. Permanently. Not just them, though. Everyone. Why? He says, Asia's crowded and Europe's too old. Africa's far too hot and Canada's too cold. And then he says,
South America stole our name.
which I'm surprised the U.S. hasn't tried to use to justify us participating in coups d'etats on the South American continent and then snuggling up to dictators like Pinochet because we're assholes that way when it comes to foreign policy. Crack open the new Confessions of an Economic Hitman and get ready to be pissed. But the one merciful thing is saving Australia because...
Don't want to hurt no kangaroo.
Which makes you go, but then, wait, why am I awing? He's gonna nuke the rest of us.
Yeah,
and
but
then
everyone loves kangaroos. No one wants anything bad to happen to kangaroos.
Yeah, but at the same time, kangaroos can punch a hole in your stomach with their toenails.
You respect their distance.
Yeah, that's true. And then after everyone else is dead, they're going to buy themselves the best clothes, a Japanese kimono and Italian shoes, even though there'll be no one left to make more, but whatever. And I just love how
or to call them out on cultural appropriation.
Yeah, and I just love how fun the song is, almost as zany as The Benefit of Mr. Kite, but not quite. And the icing on the cake is the way Randy goes, boom goes London, and boom Perry. Like he's some sort of Batman villain doing this for shits and giggles, which I love. Love this song, and I always tell my poli-sci friends about it. And yes, I texted this to Aaron on Friday, and I haven't heard back. Probably because he's in grad school and he's busy, but knowing him, he was probably appalled in a way I'm sure I'll find hilarious.
Nah.
Uh-huh.
Now, it's a good thing, though, we've never played this song for the former guy because he would have made this a reality.
Don't you dare even think of it. If he runs again in 2024, nobody better play this for him.
I mean, for me, this song is hilarious because it's so outrageous, but it's also scary too because there are people out there who would listen to this and think, why the hell not?
Mm-hmm.
Australia would make a perfect Disney continent. Come on, they're thinking like, we could have our own continent. It'd be perfect. Warm weather year round. Just get rid of those spiders that are currently invading people's homes because of the river overflowing. We'll get rid of the venomous spiders. We'll have kangaroos and the cute koalas. Everyone loves koalas.
Not
This would
my
be
theater
awesome.
history teacher, because koalas have chlamydia.
And you wouldn't need Typhoon Lagoon. You'd have the Great Barrier Reef. It'd be awesome. Now this song and Sail Away and the very last song on this God song kind of remind me of Swift's A Modest Proposal essay.
Oh, God, I had to read that in U.S. history. My English teacher, Mr. Haig, used to give that to all the women English teachers for their baby showers. He'd give them a copy of Modest Proposal by Jonathan Swift.
Oh, my God. And the thing is, like, that essay is, like, what, almost 300 years old?
Yeah, and I still hate it.
It's still outrageous and offensive after all these years.
Yep.
But it's attractively rapped. Okay, maybe not God's song, but more later. And yep, I'm going to say it. Sometimes Randy is Rock's Jonathan Swift.
I could see that. All right, next track, Burn On. There's something about that ominous about that piano. It's like the river and the moon above it are hypnotizing Randy. You can't control what's going to happen. It kind of reminded me of the music in the Ragtime musical when Coalhouse Walker Jr. mentally snaps after he loses Sarah and he can't get justice for her death or for his car being trashed. And it almost seems like there's gonna be an unhappy ending with this song, but then the music becomes happier. Maybe it's because now that Randy's at the river, he's at peace. It almost feels like his version of Old Man River, Moon River, or even a nod to Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer. That little shit. And the river boy, he was the one who kept him from being freedom. And the river burns in Randy's heart and mind, and that's why he loves it so much. It's amazing how nature can move people, isn't it? But just be careful not to let it move you to psychotic levels. Or don't be like Christopher McCandless. Remember him?
That name sounds familiar.
Into the Wild.
Oh, okay.
Book. Yeah.
Now, the Cuyahoga River in Cleveland was heavily affected by industrial pollution, and it caught on fire 13 times.
Oh, God.
The last big one was in 1969, which is what this song is about.
Okay.
That spurred the American environmental movement.
Yep.
The river was cleaned up through efforts of Cleveland city government and the Ohio EPA. In 1998, it was designated an American Heritage River.
Nice.
In 2019, the American Rivers Conservation Association named the Cuyahoga River of the Year, beating out Mississippi, Miss Uri, and Miss December. Waka waka. I tried. But before all the cleaning up happened, there was this song. And you know there's something wrong when there's a red moon rising on the Cuyahoga because it's the fire.
It's a fire.
Now, you know, he talks about the oil barge may have been responsible for the slick that caught on fire.
Probably.
That slick caught on fire from the spark of a passing rail car. And all of a sudden, river starts burning.
And then you're like, Moss, oh, 5, fire!
Yep. Now, at the end, Randy sings how the Lord can make you tumble, turn, and overflow, but he can't make you burn. We humans can do that ourselves. Thank you very much. And I like how the music swells when Randy sings about Cleveland, city of light, city of magic. Two things it definitely was not back in 1969. And to me, that swell provided a false grandeur to the city. Now, nowadays, Cleveland's doing pretty well. They're doing better. They have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And the Cleveland Indians have improved since hiring Terry Francona. They're like perennial contenders each year. And yes,
Their name's probably going to get changed.
they're
soon.
changing their name at some point. So long, Chief Wahoo. Give our best to Chief Nakahoma and Princess Winalada from the Atlanta Braves. I'm for the Cleveland Spiders, who were Cleveland's team from 1887 to 1899.
Spiders, they're helpful. They
And-
kill flies.
Except those ones in Australia. And I went online to look at their logo concepts, and there are a lot of cool looking ones there. So I just have to hope that ownership doesn't screw this up. And I gotta say, this song "Burn On" was used in the opening film credits for the comedy about the Cleveland Indians, Major League, starring Charlie Sheen and other people whom I can't remember. Bob Uecker, he was in there. He was one of the baseball announcers. It was a dumb fun comedy.
Okay, next track. Memo to my son. I am now convinced that mastery martial arts stole their creed from this song. Because one of the lines of the creed was, winners never quit, quitters never win, and I choose to be a winner. That's what I should have done when I quit. I should have tipped Randy Newman off. Someone stole his lyrics. Just kidding if you're listening, Mr. Pizzillo. So Randy Newman goes, country? I guess? It's a different musical style than his previous songs. The message of this song is simple. Here's what I can tell you, but whether you listen to it or not, I still love you. Because he knows his kid is cocky and a bit of a wild thing, but his son still is his. It's like in the song That's Family from It Should Have Been You. You can make plans by the score, involve your children, and watch those plans go out the door. He's waiting for his son to grow up, though, before he can fully understand. But then again, maybe his son is a literal baby, or maybe his son just was one that acts like a child. But either way, still a lot of growing to do before he can take Randy's message to heart. Short and sweet, but in terms of song written for kids by their parents, it's not one of the greatest ones ever.
Oh, I like it. I mean, it's a father at his wit's end thanks to his baby son. Like, he's just starting to walk. He can't talk. But he's like, what have you done to the mirror? I pooped on it. What have you done to the floor? Pooped on that too. Dad is absolutely helpless. Maybe mom went out for a few hours, or she has a job and dad is staying at home, which was revolutionary for 1972.
Oh, well, you did it.
Oh, yeah, but that was what?
1999.
Yeah. Oh, but someday he'll show that kid how smart he is. And meanwhile, he's drowning in cliches, telling his son or maybe himself,
a quitter never wins. A winner never quits. When the going gets tough, the tough get going.
which, I mean, they're just so old cliches. But despite it all, he'll always love his son. And as a dad, I can say this song can apply to daughters too.
What have you done to the remotes? What have you done to the locks? Why did you stuff those vitamins through that hole in the floor?
Because those sucked. Flintstone's vitamins tasted like chalk and I wanted none of them.
Yep. Now, the thing is, like, if you want to find out how much you really don't know as a person, have a kid, because that'll show you real fast that you don't know anything. I mean, I can still remember almost 22 years later, hey, we're going into the hospital and there's just two of us. Oh my God, we're coming home and there's three of us and this other person is never leaving. And there's this child seat in the back of the what the hell is this? What the hell did we just do? Oh my God.
Hi.
And then you find out you are just making it up as you go along and you're doing the best you can. And the only thing that you have to rely on is how you were raised, and you think, okay, I'm going to do that because that was a good idea. I'm not going to do that because that was a lousy idea. And I know I've said this to you a billion times, if there was a foolproof manual out there.
Everyone would buy it.
Yeah, but there isn't. I mean, you can write all the baby books in the world that you want, but every minute there's a baby being born who is going to subvert that material in a flash. And you're going to be standing there going, but the book said this. Why aren't you doing what the book said? God damn it. Can you read? No, you can't read. And I can't read to you because you're just going, no, it's impossible. But
Hey, at least I didn't turn out to be the kid from We Need to Talk About Kevin.
yes, that's true.
That could have been a lot worse.
That's true. You could
A
have.
lot worse.
You could have. So you got that going for you. And I could have been. Who could I have been?
Mommy Dearest, but a guy.
Who's a good daddy dearest?
I don't know. Maz P. Grace Jones's grandpa.
Oh yeah, or Nina Simone's husband.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, the thing was, though, in the documentary, when Nina started becoming abusive, her daughter went to go live with her father.
That's pretty bad when you go live with Andy.
Well, because I don't know if it was directed at her. It was more so directed at Nina. So I don't know how much of it was directed at her daughter. But the documentary didn't go that far. By the way, if you haven't watched What Happened to Miss Simone, it's a good documentary. It's very good.
Next.
Okay, Dayton, Ohio, 1903. All I can think of is, before we get into that, so the opening of Ragtime is this little prologue, and it opens with this kid going, in 1902, and he gives like a little history lesson, and this guy, Tommy from Musical Theater MASH, who I follow online, said, imagine the opening from Ragtime, but in Gilbert Gottfried's voice, I can't do a voice, but just picture his voice saying in 1902.
Oh, that's a surprise. Yeah, it's a hard voice.
It is hard to do. All right, so Dayton, Ohio, 1903. This kind of reminds me of Sunday from Sunday in the Park with George, but more laid back because it's about people going out and it's just enjoying a nice day. Once again, a song that looks at the past with rose-tinted glasses, but I kind of don't mind because Randy sings with a love and reverence for that time that you can't help being touched by it. Maybe it's not so much yearning for the old days, but yearning for the quiet moments in life and yearning for kindness. It kind of reminds me of this interview in Entertainment Weekly where Little House on the Prairie had a reunion. And they premiered in 1974, shortly before the end of the Vietnam War, 1 year later. And the cast said it was so popular because the country was craving comfort. They were craving something simple. And I think it's the same sort of comfort Randy appears to be craving in this song.
Well, the thing is, like, this song does take place in 1903, the setting. And it's like people back then are getting nostalgic for the good old days. Right before the Wright brothers invented the plane and changed the world forever. But first, they ran a bicycle shop in Dayton from 1892 to 1900 before going to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina to start their crazy flying experiments. But anyway, things were green, moving slow, the air was clean, and people were nice to you. Then that damn plane came along, and now look at us. Now we're in a hurry to get here and there and everywhere. And sure, you can only fit like maybe 2 people on the thing, but come on.
You know,
And it's almost like you listen to this song, and it's like nostalgia can kind of be a trap.
yes, it
Where you
can
need
be.
to, like, at first I thought it was, you know what, mutated, die, but I thought, no, it's move forward or stagnate.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people always think, oh, the good old days, the good old days. And then you stop
Were
and
they
think
really
about
that good?
and you think, oh, no, I would never, ever want to repeat a lot of the 70s.
Well, also it's because like there was this College Humor sketch back when College Humor was good. That was I was born in the wrong generation, which you hear a lot of people say. I wish I was born in the '60s. So much great music, and it was like segregation was still around. The civil rights movement was going on. You have 1968, where Martin Luther King was murdered. Malcolm X was murdered at that time. Fred Hampton, I believe, was either murdered at the tail end of the '60s or at the early 1970s. But 1968 was just a bad year in general. A lot of unrest. Okay, the 1920s, Flatbird Girls. Okay, women had the right to vote at that point, but there was still a lot of shit that we couldn't do. And, you know, we still have racism in this country, but it was still running very much rampant back then. So it's like, do you really want to live in those times? Okay, 1910s. Like, you know, each decade has its own problems. And I remember again in the prologue of Ragtime, there's the rich white people who are singing about how life was great back then, and the character of Father goes, and there were no Negroes. And then immediately from then, it's funny because he sings that at the Tony Awards performance, and then all the black actors just come dancing on the stage, totally disproving his point.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, no, these people have been in this country for centuries. They were brought over here by force, and they didn't want to be here, but they're here, damn it. You can't just hope that the people who you don't want to be here will go away overnight. It's like, no, they're as much a part of this fabric of this country as you or I, so screw you, man.
Okay. So I got to continue with this song.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you got a chance to look at that email that I sent you, but
Yes, I did. I looked at both
this
of
song
them.
was also used in TV commercials in 1987 to promote NutraSweet.
Yeah, that commercial was kind of cute, though.
Would you like to have something sweet?
Which was actually sung by Randy.
He must have made a lot from those commercials.
I bet he did. And there were also some versions where they had a kid singing the song. When I got Sail Away and this song came on, I thought, this song sounds awfully familiar.
The commercials.
Oh, okay. Now, as an aside, Ohio license plates declare birthplace of aviation, while North Carolina plates state first in flight. Both license plates depict the Wright brothers' first plane. So my question to get like a north-south license plate war going is, who really deserves to have that on their license plate? I'm going with North Carolina because that's where they had their wind tunnel, did all their experiments, because it wasn't happening in Ohio. They got their ideas in Ohio, but they need to go to North Carolina to test them out.
Now I'm thinking of Jess and Andrew on the Musicals of Cheese podcast. They've always joked that they want to make a Wright Brothers musical called Your Wright Brother. And the songs would be, the opening song is We're All Midwesterners. And the other songs are Where's My Corn? And the other song is Wow, It's Hot because there are no mountains. But that would be interesting. Maybe they could also put that in the musical, the license plate controversy. I think the only reason it hasn't been a controversy where they're saying the birthplace of the Wright brothers, and then they're saying that North Carolina is the birthplace of flight, so it's because they're not trying to claim, no, we're the birthplace of flight, or we're the birthplace of the Wright brothers. Maybe it's okay, because they're acknowledging, yes, they're both part of our state's histories, but for different reasons.
I don't know, I think that's kind of splitting hairs, but that's just me. I just want to stir up things.
Okay, next track. You Can Leave Your Hat On. I don't know if I want to think about Randy Newman in the context of lovemaking. The song is fine. Good music, sexy guitar. It has piano, but Randy's voice just throws it off for me. And why does he want this person to take everything off except their hat? It makes no sense. Like, I could understand this isn't a good song title, but I could understand maybe leaving on your socks so your feet don't get cold.
Like your mom does?
I didn't need to know that! Oh. You didn't have to tell me that! Oh, God.
Moving on. Oh, I wish we had a video portion to this.
You didn't have to tell me that. I could have gone my whole life without knowing that. Oh, God. Why must you hurt me this way?
Anyway.
I need a minute, okay. And again, I love forbidden love songs and songs about sex, but Randy's voice does not exude sex appeal. I mean, this is the guy who wrote the songs for Toy Story, for crying out loud. He's old enough to be my grandpa. Technically, right?
Well, at the time, this was 1972. He was still a youngin'.
Yeah, but I have a feeling I'd like this song a lot better if I heard a decent cover. Then it might be more scintillating. Like on Google, I think they said Tommy Lee Jones did a cover of this. Joe Cocker did a cover. Maybe that was just Google.
No. Tom Jones.
Tom Jones.
Not Tommy Lee Jones.
What was I thinking
Tom
of?
Jones did a cover for the movie The Full Monty.
Tom Jones, yeah, sorry.
That's Tommy Lee Jones.
What was I thinking of?
I don't want to know.
I don't know.
He was in Men in Black. He was in The Fugitive.
Oh, I was thinking of the actor. My bad.
Yes, you were.
My bad. I missed out the name.
'Cause
I'm sorry, everyone. Tommy Jones.
He was roommates with Harrison Ford
I'm sorry.
back in college.
It's Tom Jones. I meant Tom Jones, everyone. Sorry. Brain fart. Brain fart. Happens all the time. You really...
Okay, so anyway, with
Oh.
this song, I look at it as like, someone's got a fetish. Joe Cocker covered this song, and it was used in the movie 9.5 Weeks. It is now considered a striptease anthem. And like I said, Tom Jones did the version in 1997 for the movie The Full Monty. And to me, it sounds like the reason he's like, is like...
Is he
it's just-
tired?
no, it just sounds like he wants to watch.
Oh,
Like,
he's
I've
a
always
voyeur?
thought it's like he's just sitting there. And it's like, it's either his woman or it's a hired stripper. Because he's like, stand here on this chair, your arms in the air, shake 'em. And he just sings, you give me reason to live.
Oh, that's
over and
kind of
over.
sad.
And it's kind of like, he's just too lazy or too tired or
To
just
do anything.
cannot be involved. And this is all he needs. This is all he needs.
Maybe this should be Ron Swanson, because he does the only things he likes about strip clubs are the breakfast buffets. So if he had to attend one, like this is before he met Diane, he'd probably be sitting there like,
Well, years ago, I guess when this place was still open, I don't know if it's now, the Foxy Lady, they would
Yeah.
always advertise every Friday morning, we've got Legs and Eggs open at 6 a.m. I'll see you on down there.
I don't know if they're still around anymore. I think because of COVID they had to close.
And there was some sort of legal problems. And
Oh,
the guy
yeah,
who used to do that commercial, his name was Dr. Metal, and he would host Legs and Eggs
Mm-hmm.
every Friday morning. But he also lost his life in the station
Nightclub fire?
nightclub
Oh,
fire.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the thing, Legs and Eggs, because of the buffet. And then at the end, he starts singing about suspicious minds are trying to tear them apart.
And I thought, like,
and-
the Elvis song?
But he defiantly declares that he knows what love is. I'm thinking, well, you know what your version of love is.
Yeah.
And,
To each their own. As long as you're not hurting anyone,
but
it's all
I just always
consensual.
look at him like he's
Zoned out.
just, like I said,
He's like the keyboard guy that Jen dates in the episode of the IT Crowd we watched.
yeah, he's just not going to move. He's just going to,
Yeah.
yep.
All right, final track. God's Song. That's Why I Love Mankind. That's Why I Love Mankind in parentheses. I wonder if Randy Newman used this before. I looked up the set list from Randy Newman's Faust, and I thought this would be interesting in an adaptation of Faust to put in there. But he didn't. Third God song. So this is an interesting take. God loves us because they find us amusing. To quote Data, it's like we're their pet monkey. Because he says to Picard, you're Q's pet monkey. And I guess if you believe in God, maybe they do find us funny in the cosmic sense. Here we are fretting away about our problems. In the grand scheme of things, we're no more than a speck. If you ever want to feel small, Google how many galaxies there are and you'll feel like a termite. This song is very sobering, and I think you definitely have to be in the mood for it. I also think the piano playing is slightly off when accompanying the singing because it feels like the two don't really sync up.
Oh, I think it's perfect.
Yeah, but I think that was intentional. Not my favorite on the album, and I don't think it's a track I'd ever really be in the mood for because, it's sobering, and we all need that reminder. It keeps us humble, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want to think about death right now.
Well, Randy plays a 5-note dirge on the piano almost all the way through. And this, to me, this is God at his Old Testament best and worst.
Yep.
It starts off with third son Seth asking, if the children of Israel are multiply, why must any of the children die?
Yeah.
And God answers with,
Man means nothing to me.
Like, ouch. This is OT God smiting left and right, recoiling in horror at his creation.
And he says we're worth less than a tree, right? Which tree is it? The
Yucca tree.
yucca tree. That's
in
it.
the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
thanks.
and he talks about how they laugh in heaven at the prayers offered to him. And this is like, I'm thinking, yeah, this is probably why they had to come up with a New Testament and calm down things. And like, okay, and then it moves forward to like modern times. The Christians, Jews, Buddhists, and Hindus send their 4 greatest priests to ask God, you know, if he can't take care of them, could he just leave them alone? And Old Testament God replies
Nope.
how he burns their cities, takes their children away, and you must all be crazy to put your faith in me. That's why I love mankind.
Well,
Do, 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 do. And it just ends like that. Like,
well, are the Newmans Jewish?
and Jewish, non-practicing, and in Randy's case, atheist.
Oh, okay. So maybe he'd probably be more familiar with Old Testament God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Up to a point, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that
But
makes
yeah,
sense.
it's kind of like, oh my God, what if he's right? Like what you said about, what Data's saying, oh, you're his pet monkey.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows. I mean, it comes down to that question. What's it all about? Why are we here?
What's it all about, Elfie?
Is someone watching us? Are we in someone's cosmic lab and we're some sort of ongoing experiment?
It could be the flying spaghetti monster. Maybe that religion's right. Have you ever heard of the flying spaghetti monster?
That sounds familiar for some reason.
All right, we're looking this up too. All right, because it was brought up in my political science class. We were talking about various religions and how do you prove a religion is legitimate. Flying spaghetti monster. And it has this name. I think it has pasta in the title. Aha! The Flying Spaghetti Monster, FSM, is the deity of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, or Pastafarianism, a social movement that promotes a lighthearted view of religion and opposes the teaching of intelligent design and creationism in public schools. And they actually do have their own version of Michelangelo's David, where instead of touching God, they're touching the Flying Spaghetti Monster, and it basically looks like a brain, but it's got spaghetti and meatballs.
Like vermicelli.
Like what?
Like vermicelli. It's the pasta that looks like your brain or worms.
Yeah, it's got eyes coming out of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how we got onto all that.
Oh, because of, we don't know who's out there.
And so Sail Away opened with a song for which the left would cancel Randy Newman. And it closes with a song which the right would cancel Randy Newman.
Yeah.
And I think Randy would just shake his head either bemusedly or maybe amusedly if that happened.
I mean, he is Mephistopheles in Faust, so...
Like, he appeals to both sides to get canceled. Everybody. And the thing is, I love this album. I highly recommend it, but be warned, it is not for the faint of heart.
No, it is not. Overall, Randy Newman is pretty good. I wasn't expecting to see a more sincere side of him, but it shows how well-rounded the man is emotionally as well as musically. He has a lot of interesting concepts and ideas he wants to explore through music, and maybe not all of them land with us, but we can all understand what he's talking about or getting at. So for people of my generation, if you like the music he did for Toy Story and want to check out more, I would say this album is a great stepping stone into his other works, but it's not for the faint of heart. I definitely agree.
No, it's definitely not. And I mean, it's like, yeah, he can be satirical, but sometimes...
The satire is not what you're in the mood for.
Well, it's almost sophomoric, and he's admitted that has definitely happened to him a few times where he's just like maybe not putting as much thought into it as he should have, and it's just kind of gotten out of control, but he'll do better next time, and he usually does.
Yeah.
And, there's things like, he did that song, The Story of a Rock and Roll Band, which was a parody of ELO, but hey, years later, who's behind the board twiddling the knobs and producing him?
Jeff Lynne.
Yep, and if that isn't karmic justice, what is?
Please see our ELO episode for more.
Oh, thank you.
All right, as always, thank you for listening to another episode of My Dad Listens to This. I'll try to pick something more fun for next time. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Follow me on my social media for all the episodes. And if you want the episodes from my dad, just let him know, and he will email them directly to your inbox. Again, thanks for listening. We'll be back next time with another album, nitpick and grub about, and happy Pesach for all of our listeners who celebrate.
Passover. And thank you for listening to my bad Randy Newman imitation. And check out the Randy Newman Family Guy parody.
All right. And again, Happy Pesach, and since we won't be having an Easter episode, Happy Easter too to all those who celebrate.
Watch the Ten Commandments.
And Prince of Egypt, good night. Oh, and
It's the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown.
Yep. And Fiddler on the Roof too if you want a nice musical.
Thank you. And
Good night.